Hi guys, get more on that school board scam that the Avoidant was running because you guys on my life and crimes of the Avoidant asked me more about the school scam. So, before she moved to my town, into my house, she lived with her family in a house that was a great big mansion. It was something that might have been something great 20 so years ago, but they had fallen on hard times. They had three adults paying for stuff in that house. Two of them were making minimum wage. Like, there was nowhere they're keeping the upkeep on that house. So they were in a school district that may be considered better than mine. Like people can read here. Like, they're both great school districts, but she was convinced that that one was much better. So she put, like, let's say that they sold the family home in August. She technically had those kids at that address in that town for that school year. Here's the thing. They were not at that address that they told the school that they were sending the kids from. The ex-husband lived in that town, but the address that they had on the paperwork was not the address where they were living. They were living in my house many towns over. So the avoidant used to have to drive 20 or 30 minutes each way to take her kids to school. It was a real haul. Knowing what I know now, how I could tell that she was not serious about this relationship. When she moved here, she should have enrolled the kids in school in my town, because all of the schools in my town are walking distance from my house. That did not happen. That was a red flag I missed. Her ultimate plan was to move in here, and then before the end of the school year, convince me to buy a house in that town. Now, I have to say, like, that town, it's a very nice town. Like, starting prices for what we would have needed for the amount of space we needed with 6 kids, 2 adults, 2 dogs, would have been around $800,000. That's the starting. And that's not like a brand new house. Like, that is like, I don't think there would be a roof on that house, and there would definitely be ghosts. But her plan was to get me to move there. Problem is, she didn't have any money. She had spent all of her money for one child to do one activity all year round. I'm talking the low part of this activity was on the low end $400 a week. I think on average she spent between $12,000 and $20,000 a year on one kid to do one activity. So essentially, she wanted me to sell my house, right? And then buy a house in a town that was no benefit to me. My kids didn't go to school there. I would have been triple the distance away from my children just so she could send her kids to this school. Again, no money, even though she had a family member that, allegedly, I mean, I found the court records of this, but allegedly embezzled millions of dollars from one of his clients. Saying, there might be a video on that one later. Anywho, she had no money. So she would show me, like, different houses. And I would say, like, all right, here's the house that we live in, right? I pulled up a comparable price point for where we're living. It was a 2-bedroom townhouse. I'm like, we can't live in a 2-bedroom townhouse with 8 people. So as she started seeing that this scam was not working, I was not going to move. Again, I have a 2.5% interest rate on this house. I'm going to die here. So that's when once I put my foot down and I'm like, we can't, like, unless you get money and you throw money into this, we're not moving. She wasn't even paying for the bills here. I'm going to up my bills and have my responsibility. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. So as she was discarding me, she was telling me that we could get back together if, wait for it, if I bought her a house in that town. I'm thankful to Jeebus every day that I dodged that bullet. So it's funny. Like, everybody had pretty much their own rooms here. Like, it was a nice setup. She now shares a room with her son in a bunk bed. But again, I guess she's going to a great school. Hope it was worth it, right? Follow for more, and there's cool stuff at the store.